The Board of Parks and Recreation Commissioners of Kansas City, Missouri meeting for April 23rd, 2024 is hereby called to order. Will Secretary Houston please call roll?
Commissioner Smith?
Present.
Commissioner Taylor?
Present.
Commissioner Grants?
Here.
President Hayden?
Present.
Commissioner Contreras is absent. Director Cotton?
Here.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the April 9th, 2024 board minutes. Do any of my fellow board members have any changes or comments to this item?
No changes. Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Items passed. Second item on the agenda is resolution number 32530, considering board approval of the park master plan through 2032. James Wong, Chief Engineer of the Engineering Planning and Design Division, is here to present on this item.
Right. Commissioners, good afternoon. So in the past 50 plus years, every 10 years, we're going to revisit our master plan. So about 2 years ago, we commissioned the teams of Landworks, and in the past 2 years, they have completed a community profile, community engagement, asset inventory, needs assessments, and implementation plan. So through a 2 years period, they have done site analysis, site visit for 220 parks, and they also rated every single park. A lot of effort was put in there. So with me here today is, Lisa Treese, who actually led the study, from our division in Parks Rec. And then with that, you want to start the presentation?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, James. And thank you, commissioners, for your time this afternoon. My name is Brian Sturm. I'm a landscape architect with Landworks Studio. As Mr. Wong mentioned, we were retained by the city almost 2 years ago to begin this project and work with staff and residents on this master plan. Great. So for the benefit of you all, folks in the audience, I'll just touch really quickly on a few basics of just the master plan, our process, and then we'll just review really the outcomes of this, the mission of the department, the pillars, and the objectives that this master plan sets forth, and next steps for the department once this plan is approved. So, for those who haven't gotten to come to some of our steering committee meetings or our public engagement meetings, I say it because I can recognize plenty of folks in the audience who have been to those, but I know there's some that aren't. The master plan is as James mentioned, done every 10 years. It's a review of all that is going on in the community, other planning efforts that have taken place since a previous master plan. It's a platform for citizens, residents of the community, staff in this department to speak to things that are highly relevant to them in terms of parks, recreation, and the like. It's an inventory of the assets this department has in terms of land, in terms of buildings, in terms of people. It's an assessment of all that is occurring in the department, whether that's recreation programming, whether that's the condition at parks or in community center buildings. And maybe most importantly, it serves as a roadmap for this department for the next 10 years to guide funding decisions, expenditures, and policy. Why do we do this? If it's not obvious, this is a hugely important part of our city's infrastructure here in Kansas City, Missouri. The Department of Parks and Recreation oversees over 10,500 acres of parkland across over 220 parks. There are 130 miles of boulevards, of paved roadways that this department oversees, and 194 miles of pedestrian and bicycle trails. We've got 10 community centers amongst many other buildings that provide programming, and over 420 staff. And this master plan touches on all of those aspects. That's why it's so important. Just briefly, the team that took part in this process are all firms from the region. Landwork Studio was the design professional, or sort of the prime consultant, but we had planners working with us from Hoxie Collective, architects with a specialty in recreation at SFS Architecture, recreation planners from Ballard King and Associates out of Columbia, Missouri, and a market research firm, ETC Institute, which helped conduct a very important survey and works frequently with Kansas City residents. So we had a process that was really laid out originally by the request for qualifications that was issued almost 3 years ago. We were instructed to provide a community profile, look at the demographics of the region of Kansas City, Missouri, and look at all of the plans that have come forth by this city and this community that touch on parks, public health, safety, since the last master plan was done in 2015. We engaged the community. We strove to use a really broad-based approach to be able to provide folks with different ways to interact with this planning process, whether those were in person at a number of sites across the community over about a 9-month period, or virtual. We had a virtual platform that allowed folks for a good 10 months to interact with this plan and provide comments on a very specific level, park by park. We also issued a statistically valid community survey, went out to thousands of mailboxes across Kansas City, Missouri, and ultimately garnered a relatively equal number, around 100 to 110 complete responses from each of the 6 council districts. In total, we were able to interact with over 2,000 different residents and over 200 staff in this department as part of our engagement efforts. We did an inventory of the assets of this department, visited all of the parks, greenways, athletic facilities, visited all 10 community centers, and over 10 other buildings that the department has a hand in operating or owning or maintaining. We also surveyed the staff of the department and did really an inventory of community recreation partners as well as even alternative sort of providers of recreation in the region. And then one of the last efforts in terms of garnering and gathering data really concerned needs assessment. This was maybe some of the more metric portions of the plan. We looked at recreation trends in the region by looking at consumer data, being able to tell how folks are spending their money in the region and how that equates to different recreational pursuits. We looked at the level of service this department provides. How many parks per acre, parks per resident, down to things more granular, number of shelters that we're providing per folks, or the number of dog parks, the number of, sport courts, and how that equates to what there's sort of a national benchmark is for these various things. We did a SWOT, or we looked at the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that the department has going for it. And once we had gotten through those 4 phases, we really got to what we call the implementation phase of the plan, which was, coming up with the document that you all have had a chance to review, refining the vision and mission of the department, looking at those 4 pillars that the department has set forth, and coming up with a strategic action plan for the department moving forward. This is sort of a timeline over the last almost 2 years that we've been doing this work. Really, I want to underscore how much time we spent on community engagement. We really started that early, as soon as we had sort of the infrastructure available to send out surveys, to create a web page and start virtual engagement, and really had a number of in-person events that stretched from the fall through the winter and into the spring of last year. That overlapped a little bit with our asset inventory and really even the needs assessment. We've been working for about the last 7 to 8 months with staff and with you all to refine the document and get it to a point where we could present it to you all today. So, the process really comes all together towards the end. We really take a whole lot from each of these aspects of the planning process to come up with the strategic action plan. It's, this is a simplistic way to look at it, but ultimately, the words, the voices of all the residents that came forth during our community engagement phase have really an equal part in coming up with strategic actions for the department, as a lot of the data that we collected during the needs assessment phase, the tremendous amount of data that we gathered park by park, community center by community center during asset inventory, and even some of the work we did at the front end of the plan in looking at that community profile, understanding the demographics of Kansas City here and now, the planning efforts that have gone into the community over the last 10 years. All these buckets of data really came together to help us come up with what would be the objectives of this master plan moving forward. Our team, in conjunction with the steering committee, and when we got towards the sort of the back end of this planning process, we felt that the current mission of the department is sound, not one that really had to be tinkered with. It is still our data and our interactions with residents told us that the mission, of improving the quality of life, health, and wellness of this community by providing socially equitable, community-driven programming, and environmentally sound natural resource management, that still rings loudly in what we heard from folks and what we saw in our data. And the 4 pillars of the department that were set forth in the 2020 strategic plan, strategic business plan, also still ring loudly. To be able to provide equitable access through parks and recreation planning, to be able to improve using parks the health and wellness of this community, to be able to protect green space, connect people to nature. The conservation pillar is still incredibly important, as is organizational stability for this department, being able to ensure all of these services are available to the community depends on the stability of this department and its staff and its assets. So understanding those pillars is important. They're not new, but what our team came up with from that point forward were key objectives that this staff would be able to use moving forward to propel this department through the next 10 years. We did our best to come up with objectives that are measurable, are achievable by this staff, relevant to what the community told us, and time-bound, have a defined beginning and end. And I want to stress that, we wanted to come up with sort of wide lanes within which the staff could operate. You have a large staff, one that is highly attuned to how best to serve this community, and it's going to be upon them to take these objectives and enact them and sort of implement them over the 10 years. I'm happy to touch on these briefly here today for the benefit of the audience. These are the objectives here under the social equity pillar. We want to really work on investing in the assets of this department that lie within EPA environmental justice tracks, and as well as the QLID that scored at or below 65 in our master plan inventory. We looked at all the parks, all the community centers, graded them on a scale of 0 to 100. We want to be able to focus on those that are scoring low and also lie in these EPA EJ tracks. We want to be able to continue to provide equitable and affordable programming that really focuses on building more partnerships with the community in these same parts of the city, and has a specific focus on areas that we know the community wants, which are soccer, swimming, and senior programming. And we want to be able to do more comprehensive tracking of programming at the 10 community centers, so we know what gaps there are that need to be filled and what duplications we can eliminate. In terms of health and wellness, how this department and how this park system can work to provide this public health infrastructure that parks are so great at providing. We want to be able to improve and maintain these parks and facilities to support and improve health and wellness. And that really focuses on being able to provide the programming people are seeking at community centers that is really keyed towards like adult health and wellness, being able to provide more walking trails in parks of all sizes. Objective 2.2 talks about responding to the strong desire for multi-use trails. This was the number one far and away goal of residents in terms of park assets. We want to be able to provide those across the system, more trails, and develop funding that is specific to trail development. We want to focus on access to health and wellness programming across the community centers with, really an emphasis, again, like I said earlier, on senior programming and making sure that we're maximizing the efficiencies as we do so. System has a tremendous potential to improve, the environmental and environmental quality of the city. We want to be able to, in terms of this pillar, engage more residents in the practices of improving these aspects of our parks through volunteerism, as well as in reaching out to the surrounding school districts and bringing more young people into these parks through field trips and programming so that we can work to get more Kansas Cityans involved in these conservation practices. We want to be able to do our best to maintain our existing parks and natural areas so as to maximize public benefits, reduce and eliminate negative environmental impacts. That's going to center on strategies to, reduce invasive exotics, replace vehicles, maintenance equipment with more fuel efficient and carbon eliminating motors as we go through, and just doing what we can to work with our existing land to reduce carbon footprint. Objective 3.3 looks at maintaining and growing the city's tree canopy and natural areas. We want to be able to, on an annual basis, increase conservation easements throughout these parks so that we can continue to use that acreage that isn't necessarily, useful for recreational programming, but is useful for providing ecosystem services, and continue to preserve the tree canopy we have and grow it moving forward. In terms of organizational stability, we've got slightly more objectives in this one. We want to be able to continue to recruit and retain employees to this great department. We want to be able to capture and maximize all funding possible for department assets. And then at the same time in 4.3, reduce the administrative and staff burden that we have right now in parks for tasks that could be better, taken care of by perhaps other departments in the city's infrastructure. Objective 4.4 looks at improving the financial performance of park facilities, specifically community centers, and increase cost recovery moving forward. Objective 4.5 really looks at this plan and how we can make sure this plan is front and center before our community. Developing a community awareness and educational plan so that it's not just on this staff to embrace this plan or you, the board, but on the community at large, so that they know that they've been heard throughout the last 2 years and that the comments that they levied are going to be incorporated and implementation is going to be done successfully.
Brian, I have a question about
Sure. Yeah.
Pillar 4. Per our workshop at our last time, help me with the date, whatever. What was our last workshop?
April 9th.
April 9th workshop. We discussed and I requested that the increased support or building a plan that makes room for increased support around Ruth R. Watkins and the Black Archives Museum. We
Correct.
discussed that being an objective. Was that a strategy
Right. That's a strategy under Objective 4.2 where we're focused on capturing and maximizing, funding for all department assets. Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, Commissioner Smith. I mean, that focuses on continuing to maximize the funding we receive and disperse, not just for, parks and community centers, but for all of these, facilities that are partners with the park department that the park department oversees. Certainly includes the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Center, the Black Archives of Mid-America. There are a number of organizations that depend on this department for oversight and funding. So that is a strategy under Objective 4.2.
Is that explicit and specific? In our conversation, we explicitly and specifically called out Bruce R. Watkins and Black America, Mid-America Archives.
Correct.
In direct response to the historic financial piece. So I want to be clear because we are charged here to pass this, and I want to be aware of the language. Do we have that written?
Yes.
That language for that strategy.
Right, and I'm sorry I don't have all of the strategies up on the screen. The
You
language.
don't have it on the screen, but if any of the deputy directors or secretary have the language.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we can print it out.
I'd like to
the
see that.
language for that strategy. Under 4.2A, I'll read it. Strategically allocate equitable funding for museums and other not-for-profit partners with building governance boards and fundraising tools, specifically including, but not limited to, the Black Archives of Mid-America and the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center and Museum.
Yeah, because 4.2A was an existing strategy, so the language that was added was specifically
Including, but not limited to, the Black Archives of Mid-America and the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center and Museum.
Thank you, Brian.
Sure. There were a couple other strategies that we amended as well after that meeting. Also under 4.2, we added a new strategy to strategically pursue grants that align with the 4 pillars in this plan.
And then you added 4.5, which was the education strategy, I see.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Sure. And I want to stress, too, that, other objectives in this plan that say to, improvements to park assets, across the city, whether those are parks themselves, greenways, trails, community centers. There's 3 or 4 objectives in this plan that do have a strategy that, highlights going through a community engagement process on any of those specific projects that involves, engagement with the local neighborhoods, the neighborhood associations, the usership of those parks and those community centers. That's not something that I want to leave left unsaid.
Thank you.
So in terms of next steps, if once the board feels that they're able to formally approve this plan, the department staff will be developing an implementation team, a select group of staff that is able to continually look and review this plan and determine the priorities that are funded and able to be brought forward on a timely basis. It's obvious that some of these objectives in this plan have a more immediate sort of need. Others might, wait until the back half of this decade. And then there's some objectives that are going to be, needed to be touched on throughout the life of this plan, particularly many of those in the organizational stability pillar. But speaking of that, we do have Objective 4.5. It's going to be important to be able to launch that sort of education and marketing campaign so the community understands that this plan is ready and in the process of being implemented. And then over the next 10 years, it'll just be a matter of executing the plan and enjoying the benefits that provides. That's all I have for you all today. I'm happy to take any other questions you might have.
Can I say thank you to the teams and to the community for investing your time, to the staff for your input into this. As we were able to do a deep dive, your attention to detail and care for the community really shows up in this. I would also invite the community, once this is approved, you'll get a chance to have a deeper dive. But I see this as not only a working plan for us, but a way for community to hold us accountable, to be a partner in accountability for this. So that speaks to how well written it is. So thank you again to everyone who had their fingerprints on this. Yes, kudos.
No questions. No question for me, but I'm interested in seeing the staff implementation team take place and ensuring that there are diverse voices and perspectives and experiences at the table to make sure that this is a success. Just a note.
Yep.
Based on my experience with this team over the last 2 years, I have no doubt that will happen. The pleasure was all ours in terms of working with this staff, the steering committee, you all, and the hundreds of residents we got to speak with personally over the last 2 years. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You've come to a lot of meetings, both before, many of us were on this committee and after, and took our feedback, gave us great feedback back, and we really appreciate it. So thank you for all your hard work. That was quite the endeavor, so we appreciate it very much.
You ready for a motion?
I am ready for a motion, unless, Tom, do you have it? Good? Ready to vote?
I really didn't want to vote today, but yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Move to approve.
Approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All of it.
Any opposed? All right, items passed. Thank you again, Brian and Lisa, and your teams.
All right, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32531, considering board approval of the resolution appropriating funds in the Parks and Recreation Special Gifts Fund in the amount of $4 million. Financial Manager Terrence Williams is the sponsor of this memo, and I invite him to now speak briefly about this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So the Special Gifts Fund is comprised of donations from our partners and private donations, and this memo is requesting that we use $4 million of that to provide services to those partners. And so historically we do this about every other year, and so this should cover us for the next 2 years of services.
Thank you. Thank you, Terrence. I appreciate you stopping by the workshop to give some more education and guidance for this. No question.
You're welcome.
All right, can I have a motion to approve resolution number 32531?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Thank you, Terrence. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32532, considering board approval of the memorandum of understanding with the Missouri Department of Natural Resources in the amount of $150,000 to continue strategic planning and programming at the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center and Museum. Emil Cleaver, the executive director of the Bruce R. Watkins Cultural Heritage Center and Museum, is the sponsor of this memo, and I invite him now to speak briefly.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. We did a strategic plan last year with the Roz Group out of Pittsburgh. They gave us a lot of good information, and we are hoping to implement some of those things and asking for approval for $150,000 from the Missouri DNR to complete programs that we have in place.
Will this be part of the implementation? We know part of the recommendation of the strategic plan was the implementation committee. So is this money supporting that or dovetails with that work?
So it would be programming, programming for the center. And the programs would align with what are in the strategic plan, what was in the strategic plan.
And I see in the memo, it says terms of the agreement expiring June 30th, 2024. do you have to spend the full $150,000 before then?
Yes.
And you've got a plan to do that? Great.
Awesome.
All right. May I have a motion to approve Resolution 32532?
To approve. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Thank you, Mr. Cleaver. Next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 32533, considering board approval of a KCMO contract with Triggered Media to create video and social content to drive awareness and traffic to our department website in the amount of $4,800. Heidi Markle, Marketing and Events Manager, is a sponsor of this memo.
Good afternoon. Well, this is kind of a 4-in-1 campaign. We plan to celebrate Parks and Recreation Month, promote our updated website, highlight Soap Park, and then reintroduce our slogan, Where KC Plays. So we're excited about partnering with Trigger Media to promote all these things in 6 weeks.
Thank you for providing the deliverables as well.
Right.
No questions.
No questions? Then may I have a motion to approve Resolution Number 32533?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 32534, considering board approval of a facility use with concession agreement with the Quez Beasley 18th and Vine Art Festival for the use of Greg Kleiss Community Center in the north and southbound lanes of Paseo Boulevard between Truman Road and 18th Street for the 18th and Vine Art Festival on September 27th through the 29th of 2024. Events Administrator Rob Loya is the sponsor of this memo.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for your time. Yes, this is actually a repeat of an event we had last year. Had positive feedback, and they're back for another successful event.
Great.
Any questions?
Phenomenal event last year. It's really
Yes,
great.
good feedback.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 32535, considering board approval of a facility use with concession agreement with the American Jazz Museum for the use of the Great Lawn to hold the In the Yard outdoor concert on August 31st, 2024. Mr. Loya.
Yes, they had a similar event last summer. Concert on the Great Lawn. Annual event, and at this point,
Great.
any questions?
No questions.
Another great event. I happen to serve on this board, so I won't participate.
Thank you. All right, then I may have a motion to approve Resolution Number 32535.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Commissioner Smith recuses. Item is passed. The next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 32536, considering board approval of a facility use with concession agreement with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum for the use of the Great Lawn for the Heart of America Hot Dog Festival on August 3rd, 2024. Mr. Loya.
Yes, another big annual event for parks. Very popular. We work in partnership with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum on this very popular event.
Have they spilled who the performers are this year? Isley Brothers, maybe?
Hey, Rob.
Yes, sir.
NTDF still sponsor?
My understanding is yes.
A big
Yes,
sponsor?
I can double check that and get that for you, Tom. Let me see real quick. Yes, they do claim to have funding this year.
Okay, good.
This is a fun one. I always... All right, then may I have a motion to approve Resolution Number 32536?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks, Mr. Loya.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is Resolution Number 32537, considering board approval of a facility use with concession agreement with La Liga, Kansas City for the use of facilities at Hodge Park Athletic Field to conduct youth soccer programming. Superintendent of Community Services Jennifer Jett is here to speak on this item.
Good afternoon. So this is an athletics facility use agreement for Hodge Park for the month of May. We anticipate that we will collect $1,520 from this agreement.
Great. Any comments to this item?
No.
All right, may I have a motion to approve Resolution Number 32537?
Move to approve.
Can I get a second?
Aye. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32538, considering board approval of amendment number 2 with Midwest Pool Management to manage outdoor aquatic facilities in the amount of $197,060. Ms. Jett.
Yes, I'm going to actually have Donald answer any questions about this. So Donald's our aquatics manager. I'll turn it over to him.
Welcome, Donald.
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
So with this memo, we're seeking approval to appropriate the total of $197,060 towards the management fee for our outdoor aquatic facilities during the 24 aquatic season.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Yeah, so this is all the pools in Kansas.
All the outdoor pools, yes, sir.
Outdoor pools.
And this is for staffing?
It's for staffing, recruitment, management, oversight, maintenance, several other things.
So the chemicals also?
Yes, sir.
So the reason why I asked that, Director Cotton, I know in last year, different board, same commissioner, we talked about the prospect of us doing our own, grow your own. Can you kind of tell us where we're at with that, and is this a meanwhile? Hi, Donald. Is that a Donald question?
It is a Donald question.
All right.
So are you speaking towards providing our own staffing for our own facilities?
Us growing to that, we know it's a process.
Yeah, so this is the final year of this agreement with Midwest. We're currently putting out a new RFP for a shorter termed agreement. We're going to 3 years instead of the typical 5. So it gives us time to kind of evaluate in a shorter amount of time so we can get ready for that process. The indoor pools, we're focusing on those right now. Tony and Gary, Greg Kleiss, they're almost fully staffed. Southeast Community Center, currently working on that. I believe we open up next month. I have expected to have 3 guards at the start of opening next month, so kind of slowly moving towards that plan.
So after this agreement, you're anticipating another 3-year, which is a shorter term, outdoor management agreement, but we are still actively moving forward in our grow our own.
Yes.
Engaging our youth within community, building them through.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you, Donald.
No problem. Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Thank you, Donald. All right, invite Ms. Jett back up. The next item on the agenda is resolution number 32539, considering board approval of a cooperative agreement with Restart Incorporated for the use of Greg Kleiss Community Center for the Project Homeless Connect on May 20th through May 21st, 2024.
Thank you. So this is a partnership that we've had with Restart for 8 years now. They're located in the neighborhood. We partnered with them for various other like shelters, warming centers, and so this is a great partnership. We partner at Greg Kleiss Community Center. Last year we served over 300 of the unhoused community. So we would like to continue that.
And is that something that Restart does, like the marketing and outreach for, or do we handle that?
They do it.
Okay.
Yep.
I love this partnership. I think it's a really great one for us, so thank you.
Great.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32540, considering board approval of an agreement with Real Deal Sports LLC for Mayor's Nights Night Hoops Summer Youth Program in the amount of $110,000. Ms. Jett.
Thank you. So you'll see the next couple memos are related to Mayor's Night programming. All of these programs will be running between June 17th and August 15th. We target those times where kids are out of school and partner with these organizations to provide programming at various community centers throughout our system.
Are we approving all? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. We're going to do them individually.
Okay.
Yep.
So this one is for the Real Deal Sports Night Hoops program, which is basketball located at several of our facilities, including Southeast Garrison and Greg Kleiss.
So I know that a couple of these are coming up. Can you give us a little background on the relationship with Real Deal? Who are they? Are they local?
Sure. Yeah, they're a local company. We partnered with them. I believe this is the second or third year we partnered with them. They just kind of came in, or they provided us a proposal as part of our Mayor's Night programming proposal request. And we're working on kind of building participation back up in this program. We had some pandemic drop-off, and so they're working with us. They replaced one of our previous partners whose founder ended up falling ill, and so they stepped in, and they're doing Club KC and Night Hoops programming.
And is these events, is there a charge to the youth who come? What's that like?
Yes, so the charge is $10 to participate in all Mayor's Night programs. So youth is able to participate in all 8 weeks in any program for $10.
Oh.
And then we also do provide scholarships as well. If someone is not able to pay, we get them in the program.
Great.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Next item is resolution number 32541, considering board approval of another agreement with Real Deal Sports LLC for the Mayor's Nights, this time for the Club KC Summer Youth Program in the amount of $60,000. Ms. Judd.
Thank you. So partnering again with Real Deal Sports, this is the social aspect of the programming that partners with the sports aspect. We partner with Real Deal. Sometimes they bring in different speakers talking about different educational opportunities for the youth. We partnered with the health department before to bring just different education aspects into this program. These two locations are at Greg Cleiss and Southeast Community Center.
And how do you decide what goes at what location? Is it just based on interest of who's historically signed up, or what?
It's based on past participation, and it's based on the capacity of the building.
Okay.
And what we can house there, what amenities are available, and also the communities around the neighborhood as well.
Do these events bring in a lot of kids, a lot of people?
Yes, last year, like I said, we are rebuilding the participation. We had 240 unique participants over the 8 weeks, so all those youth were showing up every week for these programs.
Across the locations, it was
Yes.
200 and how many you said?
40.
240 total across the 4 or 2?
It was across the 4 to 6 locations, and that is just they were uniquely registered, and they participated in various locations.
Okay. And what's your goal, like, to get back to? Like, what would be?
That's a great question. I didn't look back into the 2019 numbers, but that's something that we can look at putting a goal towards this year. We just are working on putting registration up now, so we're talking about what are the goals for each location.
Mm. And how do you market this to the communities?
Sure. So marketing, we do various marketing, whether it's through city communications. We've done radio ads and print ads before. We find that the radio ads typically are very influential, so we'll probably go down that route. And there's also money in the budget for Real Deal to assist with the marketing as they kind of have a tap into some of the middle school, high school age students.
And I would just suggest that as you are looking to increase engagement with young people, that you're going to have to put feet on the ground and get out there, talk to young people, talk to the organizations that are serving young people, get in the schools. So outside of just a marketing digitally aspect.
Can you, Jennifer, follow up with that number for us once the team identifies what the goals are?
Yes.
I'd be interested to connect the dots. Thank you.
Yeah, can you include follow-up on what the plan looks like in terms of outreach?
Yes, and I maybe misspoke a little bit because we do that with our recruiting and marketing of our summer programs, our summer camp specifically, so this also gets marketed as well, but we can make sure you have that plan as well.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. All right, next item on the agenda is resolution number 32542, considering board approval, again with Real Deal Sports, for Mayor's Nights for the Night Swim Summer Youth Program in the amount of $30,000.
Thank you. So working with Donald, our aquatics manager, we talked about focusing on aquatics. So this is a newer a return of a aquatics program for Mayor's Nights. It's been several years since I've heard that they've had this program. We're focusing on the Mary Williams Neal Community Center outdoor pool as the location. And so we will be starting that again this summer.
So this is the first time that it's taken place at Mary Williams, coming back?
Aquatics was a program in the past. I don't know exactly where it was located, but we thought that Mary Williams Neal was a great location with the pool opening last summer and the addition of the water slide this past winter and opening this spring.
With approval of this, can we make note to reach out to the family and let them know that this is coming back as a program?
Yep.
Good idea.
All right, any other questions on this one?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Items passed.
We got the new slide and everything. This is going to be fun.
All right, last one for Ms. Jett. Resolution number 32543, considering board approval of an agreement with Ivory LLC for Mayor's Nights for the Knights Nets Summer Youth Program in the amount of $15,000.
Thank you. So we've partnered with Ivory. She submitted a proposal this year as well. This is the third year. Her program was recognized after the summer of 2022 by the mayor's office as having a great impact. It is a female sports geared volleyball program, and it was a great success, so we're bringing her back to the Hillcrest location this summer.
Do you know how many participated in this last year?
Yes, we had about 65 females participate, female athletes.
Great. All right, may I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Thanks.
All right, thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is resolution number 32544, considering board approval of an I'm going backwards in my agenda. Sorry. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32544, considering board approval to rename Grand Boulevard from East 2nd Street to the Heart of American Bridge to Berkeley Parkway. Mr. Wong was here to speak about this last month, and he's here again.
Commissioners, so the Berkeley Riverfront area has been booming for years, and with the opening of the KC Current Stadium, just make this area even better. And, you know, KC Current just keep winning too, so yeah. So the street naming committee, they reviewed all the street names, you know, in the area. One section they found does not really make sense. It's a section of Grant, you know, between 2nd Street and the bridge. So the request is to change that piece of Grant, rename that to Berkeley. So now that the entire section, you know, between 2nd Street to Front Street will call Berkeley Parkway. So this request was brought to you over a month ago, which started our 30-day public, you know, comment period. No opposition has been received.
No recommendations for it to be called KC Current Parkway?
All for it. So.
And what's the timing on getting that changed?
Ricky, how long will get that changed?
We can get it done pretty quickly through the street naming committee.
I guess I'll then ask Commissioner Taylor something she might not know off the top of her head, but given all of the materials about how to get to the stadium, if we change it mid-season, do you foresee that being
Internally, they are aware
Okay.
that this is coming about.
Okay.
So, yes.
Thank you.
All right. Then may I have a motion to approve resolution number 32544?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed.
If you could keep us posted with the timeline on that, that'd be great.
Would you, Commissioner?
Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32545, considering board approval of an amendment number 1 to the agreement with Landworks Studio for the Northland Trailhead Study to extend the contract time to October 31st, 2024. Mr. Wong.
Commissioners, in the past 15 years, a lot of trails been built in the Northland, you know, by Pike dollars, TIF money, and county money. So we started a study about 2 years ago. I mean, the goal of the study is to try to make our trails more accessible by building those trailheads. So the study, in fact, found about 10 locations for new trailhead locations, and we're essentially going to choose 2 locations for final design. So this is a amendment. It's a time extension only, so no dollar increase for this amendment. So with this one, that it will allow us to go back to the community, let them know that which ones we're picking, and also allow us to finish final design for the 2 locations that we're going to pick.
Great.
Thank you for that. Yep. Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Items passed. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32546, considering board approval of a bid award to Shawnee Mission Tree Services, Inc., doing business as Arbor Masters Company in the amount of $1,745,345. Stephen Van Ryn, Natural Resources Manager, is here to speak on this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is our new contract with Shawnee Mission Tree Service Arbor Masters with a new bid that came out for this year. This is FY25 funding that will be available. We also have, and there's some funding that came from reimbursement for storm costs during the July storm. An anticipated amount of work had to be done, so downtown gave us another $245,000 to help compensate us for that.
Great.
This is for our tree maintenance side of the equation, so it's tree removals, stump grinding, trimming, that whole factor.
And there's a bidding process for this that happens. I'm curious, have we found any value, maybe you've tried this before or not, of spreading the wealth? This is a pretty significant contract, and I'm curious if there's other additional local partners that could be eligible for this. Is that a benefit, or is it just easier to manage and they put in the biggest bid?
It is a whole lot easier to have just one tree contractor to go to, especially during storm events and things when we have special events happening like that. In the past, we've always had one contractor. We did discuss it in terms of capacity. Does the contractors have capacity to manage it? And Arbor Masters does. Generally speaking, we tend to default to that. It's something we can reconsider for next time we do the bid to see if there's some rationale for that or some advantage to us for doing that.
Right.
I believe we had 4 this year. I have to go back and look at it. So, yeah.
And you kind of bring
the
up
memo says 4.
This point about how the sheer number, the depth of this contract, this proposal, could also eke out smaller businesses that may not have the capacity, but if we were open to having more than one partner, then we could, share that money. So I appreciate you considering it, and as the team talks about it more, welcome you all's thought about
Definitely.
it.
Yeah, I would like to see a Kansas City company myself.
I'm sorry?
I would like to see a Kansas City company, something here in our area, not Kansas.
No shade to Kansas. Partners.
We got to keep our money away.
Original, you're speaking to a Kansan, but nope, no further questions though.
Can I have a motion to approve resolution number 32546?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items passed. Next item on the agenda is resolution number 32547, considering board approval of amendment number 3 with Shawnee Mission Tree Services for tree maintenance services in the amount of $106,000 and extending the contract term to July 1st, 2024. Mr. Van Ryn.
This is because we had spent so much money for a couple of different storms, even the one this spring. We needed to put a little more money just to cover our gap between contracts. So this is the old contract we had with Shawnee Mission from last time around. That was in sunset then, and we need to put a little more money into it. So.
And this amount should get us through when our new contract starts.
Yeah, we'll be able to go ahead and have a seamless amount of work. We were already reducing the amount of work they were doing because we were running up against the total amount in the contract. We were having to go back and do stump removals, which are included in the cost of the removal of the tree. And then we had that recent set of wind come through, and we had a bunch more work to put on, so we needed to extend a little more money to cover that.
Madam President, I have a question.
Yep, go ahead, Commissioner Grants.
We can't get anybody to go by and water these little trees they plant every year.
Well, any trees that we plant under our contracts have a 2-year maintenance agreement. They are supposed to be watered. So we do have staff that go and try to check up on that, but I will say that we, with our current level of foresters, are able to check up on contracting. Sometimes there's a bit of a lag between getting them checked up on and making sure they're getting filled, but they're supposed to be filled all the time. I would say that generally speaking, our contractors do a pretty good job. And we do have a lot of trees that are planted that are not our specific contractors. They're done with developers or with public works and whatnot, and we have a lot harder time tracking those and making sure that they stay on top of their maintenance
I know that
agreements.
Thursday
Yeah.
Creek has a
Yeah.
lot of nice new trees, but they're not going to make it. They're
Yeah,
done.
it hasn't helped that we've been in a drought for several years now, and without the natural watering, it makes it even more important that we're out there doing that. So we are trying to expand staff. We did get one approval for one more forester. We're trying to get hired, having a little difficulty attracting a quality candidate right now. But when we get that person on board, part of their job is going to be going back and making sure our contractors are staying up to task on everything.
Thank you for letting me change the subject. So.
No worries, no worries.
I will say with this level of investment that I would expect our contractors to have a reporting system that can allow us to hold them better, more accountable. And it may be another good argument as to why splitting up this contract so that our vendors don't get overwhelmed with the capacity.
Just because this is just the tree maintenance side, the tree planting side is separate contracts will be coming through, and they're for lesser amounts. We don't get as much funding for tree planting. We have a huge existing urban forest to manage, so a lot of money does have to go into tree maintenance.
Okay.
But the planting contracts, we work with Heartland Tree Alliance, and they're an excellent partner in that they work with homeowners and with communities, and then a lot of times the homeowners are now taking responsibility because they take partial ownership of the tree planting from their house. So we get really good results with that program. We've been expanding our work with them, and so that is a good way to try to get some of that done and stay on top of the tree planting side of things.
So you're saying that these contractors are not responsible for the maintenance of it?
They're responsible for existing tree maintenance, that's tree trimming of dead limbs, removal of dead trees. When we have storm damage, they do stump grinding, all that kind of work. Removal of limbs that are blocking stop signs, that kind of work is done by this contract. That's the tree maintenance. And we have our tree planting contracts that do maintenance on the newly planted trees. So that's different. So,
Thank you for that clarification,
Sure.
Stephen.
All right. With that, may I have a motion to approve resolution number 32547?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items passed. Thank you, Mr. Van Ryn. All right. Final item on the agenda is an update to the status of various projects within the planning and engineering divisions. I'll invite Mr. Wong back up again, and he'll give us a presentation.
Yeah, we're back. So we have two projects that go into construction. I would like to go ahead and do a quick slideshow so that you can better understand the scope and then timeline.
Is Hibbs Park going up first?
Yes.
Well, as the commissioner who had the privilege and honor to be able to be present with community, it was great to hear from Alvin Brooks, Mayor Lucas, Councilpersons Curls, Raina Parkshaw, and Hasley, and of course the families of children who have been murdered. So I just want to give another shout out to the team, and it was great to have Lene and Lisa and all those that were a part of it. While it was a somber occasion, it was really great to be able to move forward with this project. So thank you.
I haven't opened the brush one, so
short preview.
There you go.
Preview, go ahead.
You did that on purpose, James.
Hello, commissioners. Are we able to start the slideshow? Yeah. So what we're doing here is just giving you a quick update on the project as we start moving into kind of a more construction side of the project. So the Brush Creek Cultural Heritage Trail, developing cultural corridor with the art features along Brush Creek, the Brush Creek corridor. We're currently working with Olson & Associates. They're the primary on the project. And then as we start working on the flat work, so what this includes are little plaza areas that'll go along the existing trail. And so Gunter is going to help us work and do that. I'm Rick Sanchez, the project manager on it. And again, just a reminder on the funding, we did receive a $1 million grant from the Coffin Foundation. And then we're receiving another $400,000 from the 1% for Artists. So, and we're about halfway done, a little bit more than halfway done on the planning side of it. So now we're really starting to work on finalizing the details of the plan and starting on construction for these plaza areas. So just another quick update of where we are at. So it goes from Manuel Cleaver Boulevard to Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard on the south, Paseo to Cleveland Avenue. So that's kind of that's the section of Brush Creek that we're looking at. Again, our mission and vision statement. Mission, where are we? You know, it's made to illuminate the African American stories of Black Kansas City through education, contemplation, and reconciliation. The vision statement, where are we heading towards? It's a multifaceted cultural heritage of Black Kansas City through story and art, and to promote reconciliation, empathy, and understanding. A place of reflection. That's what these plaza areas are going to be. Is that place of reflection, as it has the power to enlighten, unify, and inspire all who visit. And so that's what the art pieces are going to be a part of as well. So again, just the themes. So we do have 14 themes, 14 separate plaza areas that are going to be constructed as part of this. So we have everything from social justice, workers' rights, art and entertainment. So we're going to be touching on multiple of these themes. And just to remind you, we were initially going to select 14 people or 14 events. The good issue that happened is, as we went out to the community, we got so much input that we now had to put categories in. And so this is a good problem to have for us.
Nice.
And so kind of just a little detailed site plan of where we're looking at. So we're kind of starting at the Freedom Fountain Trail, or Freedom Fountain, Spirit of Freedom Fountain, and then moving west. And so all those gray dots, it's kind of hard to see, but those are going to be the proposed plaza area locations. And with that, we will do some landscaping with it. There's proposed lighting to go along with it. And then, so that's where each of these nodes are going to be at. So each of these little plaza areas will be, you know, highlighted by a different scope of, you know, the Black history in Kansas City and civil rights movement. And again, we're just keep going west. And so here is around Prospect Avenue, you know, we're talking about workers' rights. And so we did try to choose these things kind of in correlation to what is around them as well. And so there is kind of a rhyme and reason to where they are. Yeah, and then this is over by MLK Park. We do have some proposed areas over there. And then we are working within the projects, or the Parks Department, with other project managers, as there are multiple projects going on in this area, to make sure that they are also highlighting what we are asking to be highlighted as well. And so this is just a little rendering to show you of what we envision this plaza area to look like. So we think, you know, around a 30-foot wide circular plaza area, that in the middle there, you'll see like the center is a different color. That's where we see a flat piece of artwork going. We did, and I'll get to another slide, we did complete the call for artists, and so we should be getting in contract with an artist pretty soon.
And will it be one artist for all of the 14?
We did select one artist to do all 14 plaza area, and this is just the flat work. Along with the flat work, we do envision future projects of separate sculptures or pieces of artwork to be next to or adjacent to each one of these things. So you almost get 2 pieces of artwork per plaza. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is just one thing to kind of unify all of these plazas, and we wanted to show a piece of art going in now and kind of do something with the money that we had. Unfortunately, you know, art, especially substantial art, is expensive. And so what we wanted to do is, with the money that we had now, put artwork in with this first phase. Then with future phases, we can then add in those.
Has that artist been selected?
The artist for the flat work has been selected, yes.
Thank you.
And that's new of last week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's been very recent. And so with this next one, this is just kind of showing you some naming and branding. And if you click one more time. So after some deliberation, some work with our consultants, we've pretty much landed on Celebration Cultural Trail. This enlightens the trail name while you're still in Brush Creek and it's still, a park. This is kind of like you're walking through a trail and you're walking through this kind of new space that we're going to be creating with these plaza areas and the lighting and landscaping. So again, the call for artists, we finished that, and so hopefully we'll be under contract with the artist pretty soon, and then we'll start working on design. Or they've already kind of submitted preliminary designs to us, and so we'll be working through that, make sure that everything is historically correct. Having, we do have historians on the consultant team, so making sure that they're working with them to make sure that we're getting everything accurate. And then this is another just technology part of our study. We did put trail counters out there on Brush Creek just to kind of get a baseline of how many people are there now. And so as the construction happens with these plaza areas and the artwork goes in, we want to put these counters back out, see what kind of numbers we get, and then see the major boost of people that we get in this park.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the next steps, so we're working with our consultants to finalize the history research, finalize the naming and branding. We're going to be creating a logo with this, committee and public input meetings. We still have to go out to the neighborhoods one or two more times to make sure that, we're on the right track again. Again, construction of the plaza areas and the construction of the flat artwork, so.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. That's very exciting.
Thank you.
All right. Then we bring in Lisa up.
All right. So now we'll talk about the Children's Memorial at Hibbs Park. And thank you for the great introduction about it. So this project is located at Hibbs Park, which is at 4301 East 59th Street. It's in Council District 5. And the scope of this project is to construct 2 memorial columns in a formal plaza, relocate. There are 2 existing memorial benches there to Erica Green, also known as Precious Doe, and to add 1 bench. So we'll be relocating those benches to a little bit more formal setting right around the memorial. The design professional, we've done this with in-house design, so I've been working on the design of this with the project stakeholders myself. Construction contractor, the IDIQ on-call masonry contract, D&D Custom Construction. And I'm the project manager, Lisa Treese. I'm a landscape architect and arborist. And the reason we looked at using the on-call masonry for this, the project stakeholder team really wanted to expedite and get this done as quickly as possible, and this is one way that we can deliver projects sometimes more quickly. So I presented them different project delivery approaches we could take, and this was one that was really appealing to them. The price quote for the project that we have is $118,900. That's available in PIAC funds that we have. We do have additional funding in that account if needed, but the hope is that we can keep it within this budget here and bring the project in, under the amount, which would be great. And the project status, so the names are being collected for children's names to go on the memorial. And there was a press event on April 15th from the mayor's office, and they kicked off the month-long names collection time period. So on May 15th, we'll be closing the collection for this initial set of names that will go on the initial engraving of the monuments. So it is set up so that over time, on a determined, we can determine how frequent we want to do it, maybe every 2 years. If there are additional names that we want to collect and then have an engraver go out on site and add, that's a potential thing that could be done. Everyone on the committee hopes we never need that, but that's something that the team has asked to allow for that in case it is needed. So the granite fabrication is planned for this summer. So as soon as we get that list of names and it has a chance to be vetted and checked to make sure we don't have any duplicates, misspellings, make sure we have the proper permissions that we need, then that can go to the fabricator and they can start fabricating the granite. That's the longest time frame item on this project. Once the granite is just about ready to be shipped to the site, that's when D&D will mobilize out there, start doing the site work, create the plaza so that it's ready for those columns to come in, and they'll be placed by a crane. So they're very, they'll come in 3 pieces each. They're very heavy, and they'll be placed very carefully onto the site. This is a site plan. So you can see up at the top, basically, let's see if this wants to work. No, okay, I'm just not going to try to use that pointer so I don't mess it up. So up at the top, right now there's an existing walk that comes in off the sidewalk at the top of the picture, and that's where the existing memorial, there's 2 existing memorial benches there. So basically we'll be making a larger plaza in that location, and then having those benches just shift a slight distance to the edge of the plaza. We'll be adding 1 more bench that's backless so that someone could sit and face the memorial or face the overlook. So there's an overlook from this location down to the rest of the park and to the playground and the shelter. The memorial columns will be the real fixture of this location. So you would see those as you come in. The first memorial column face that would greet you would have the name of the memorial, and it would explain what the memorial is. And then the faces that face in will have the majority of the names, as well as the wider face that faces to the south. I skipped one. Okay. So just some of the features. This gives an example of how tall those memorial columns would be. So they're 13 feet tall, and they're roughly the same scale as the ones that are at the park right by City Hall. So City Hall has the City Workers Memorial, and there are columns there, and the team working on this project really liked those columns and wanted those as the inspiration for this. So the scale of these is based on those. These will be a little bit different in that these will be polished granite, so it'll be more shiny, whereas those are more of a rough granite. The bench, James, he's getting ahead of me. So the bench, the existing benches are up in that upper right picture, and those will just be shifted a little bit on the site. And then the backless bench is shown there, which matches our park standard benches that are seen elsewhere in the park. Next slide. And this slide, this is our draft engraving plan. It will be finalized once the names are collected, once we get our final list of names. We have a preliminary list that was provided by the ad hoc group against violence and KCPD, so that's our preliminary list that's on here. But we expect, to be able to compare the names that we get and just make sure that we catch every name that people want to have on there and that we don't have any duplicates. So that's the project. And I can take any questions that you have. How many names? So at this time, we have a little bit under 200 names on the list.
That is terrible.
Yeah.
And from what time period?
So 2001 was the year that Precious Doe was found in Hibbs Park. Hibbs Park actually is on both sides of 59th Street, and she was found on the north side of 59th Street there, and so 2001 is the starting date.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I know working on this project isn't easy, so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. It'll be really, hopefully a comforting place for the families to come and hopefully no more new names.
No more names.
Yeah.
No more names. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Lisa, Ricky, and Joe. James, for your multiple appearances here today.
Right.
All right, Director Cotton, Director's update.
And Angela.
Yes, thank you. The report has come back on the rebuild of the Spring Valley Park Shelter. This info will be shared with you at an upcoming work session for your input. There are 221 participants currently signed up for summer camp so far. Mary Williams Neal Pool is being repaired for another leak. Pool should be up and running by opening day. Southeast Community Center has 3 lifeguards going through onboarding right now, 4 for Tony Aguirre Community Center and 4 for Greg Kleiss. The week of May 13th should see all operational pools filled and inspected by the Health Department. This will give us time to address any Health Department concerns by Memorial Day weekend. The Swope Memorial Golf Course renovation design is underway. Today at 6 p.m. there's a mobile music in the box concert at Luce Park. The Ilis Davis Fountain has been repaired and is in operation. The Soccer Advisory Committee met last week to listen to the adult soccer request and discuss youth league play. Mowing contracts are being executed as quickly as possible once they make it back from City Hall. Park staff has begun mowing areas normally contracted out. The new Native American Chamber of Commerce has met with staff and is interested in using another vacant facility in Swope Park for Native American youth programming. As more details get worked out, an agreement will be forthcoming. This would be similar to the Boy Scouts agreement for use of the SIC. Staff have begun removal of honeysuckle at the Blue Valley Park athletic fields. This being done prior to investing in the repair of the facility. This board was not all in place originally last year, but vandals got into the facility and stole all of the copper wiring out of all the lights and the facility. So before we go to invest money into bringing it back online, we want to open it up so that it can be seen from the road. It's completely overgrown. And we are also taking measures to keep vehicles from being able to drive in off-road. We have a lot of 4x4 activity that takes place in that park as well. So that is my report.
Thank you.
All right, we will now move into public hearing. Do we have, sorry, I've got my list from Carmen. Okay, Mr. Rizzo is here to testify. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes, which I will run on my phone.
Hi there. I am Angeline Rizzo, the daughter of Gilberto and Raquel Rizzo, here to speak on behalf of them. I also work with their organization, and their English is their second language, so I'll be doing a lot of the communicating here, but he can answer any questions here as well. We are here to bring awareness to the injustice happening at the 9th and Van Brunt Field. We are currently